They just were seeing weird things. Their faces were like really morphing. They just felt weird.
Listen to me. Welcome to Monsters Lounge.
That's a really good one. I like that one.
Isn't that one good? It's very loud too. I got real close to the mic on that one.
Yeah, you did.
I'm Jeni.
Hi, I'm Tressa.
Fantastic. We're all here in our lovely area where we're supposed to be. I'm doing great with intros.
You're really good.
The best at intros.
So good.
I know. Tressa, I am very excited because we are going someplace tomorrow.
Where?
We're going to Michigan. We're going to the UP, right by Canada, in old Sault Ste. Marie.
Yay!
Yeah, for the Mid-Michigan Paracon.
Yep.
Very excited to see everyone.
Nope, not the Mid-Michigan.
Damn it.
Just
Correct
the
that
Michigan.
for me, yeah?
Nope, I will not.
Yes, you will. The Michigan Paracon. Listen, there's so many Paracons. I can't keep these things straight at all.
Well, listen, this is the last one, and it's the biggest one as far as I know, as far as anyone is concerned.
Yeah.
And it's the last one. So
I know.
We are going to party everyone's faces off this next week. And I can't wait.
And by party everyone's faces off, we really mean
Tressa
will be doing that. I'll be doing the robot next to her and driving. That's what my job will be. So,
and we love you for it.
Yeah. So everybody who's out there, come say hello. Tell us how much you adore the show and us, and tell us how pretty we are.
And then
in
leave.
the least creepy way possible.
Oh, you can be creepy, but then you have to leave.
Well, that seems harsh, but we'll see.
I think it's fair.
Unless you want to talk sharks, in which case
you should leave faster.
No, you should stay and talk about sharks. Yeah, we'll be talking to a lot of fun people. So, and that'll be coming pretty soon too. Yay!
Hurrah!
But anyway,
back to this dump.
Back to this place. I'm also very excited because we have a wonderful guest on tonight. And the guest that we have on, we have had the pleasure of meeting her twice in person. Well, I've met her twice in person. Have you as well?
Where was the other time? We met her at GalaxyCon, and then where else?
We saw her in Mansfield.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Doy.
She's a delight.
She is.
She's a delight.
Love her.
Yes. And in one of my very first conversations with her, she changed the way that I sort of viewed everyday rituals. Yeah. Like everyday things that you do that bring you some sort of peace or joy, and putting some intention into there. So I can't wait to talk to her a little bit more tonight. Cherise Williams is an author, a spiritual guide, a tarot reader, and paranormal investigator known for her straightforward yet impactful methods in the realm of spirituality, paranormal, and well-being. She specializes in empowering others to trust their instincts and navigate their spiritual journey, offering tarot readings, spiritual coaching, and connections to nature. And she does very well. So please help me welcome Cherise. Yay!
Clap too.
We're good at clapping. I don't know what it is like live. I'm my words.
Well said, Jeni. Cherise, how are you doing? We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm so glad to be here. You guys are always so fun.
Yeah. When I forget how to use words like right now.
Oh,
congratulations. This is going to be a fun interview. No, but for real, you have a very calming presence about you, and it's when you speak, the words are very impactful. And I do remember all the little, especially talking about nature and getting in those connections and doing all those everyday rituals that kind of bring some sort of intention to your life. Mm-hmm. But what I really want to talk about first is the haunted objects. Mm-hmm. Because you have 2 books out. You have the... Oh, there it is.
The Witch's Guide to Haunted Objects, yes. Continue.
And that is the one that I own and have read, and it is fascinating. For some reason, the idea of haunted objects is a little bit more terrifying to me than like actual haunted houses, and I don't particularly know why that is. How does an object end up haunted?
Objects can become haunted pretty much from all the same ways that a building or a location can become haunted, really. If there's an object that's in the vicinity of maybe like gruesome death or something like that, the object could kind of absorb some of that energy. So sort of like a residual haunting. So people who get near that object or own that object may feel uncomfortable around it, or it just may give them feelings of just like the ick, and they may not know why. And it could be because they're kind of feeling that traumatic energy attached to the object. Other times it's maybe, I like to use the example of like a piece of jewelry or something. Like, say there was a woman who had a ring that she absolutely loved, and it was like her prized possession throughout life. And then she died, and she's still very attached to that ring. And so she wants to follow it around to make sure whoever has that ring is taking care of it and treating it like she would have treated it. And so then that's where maybe you'll get somebody, like if they aren't treating the ring nicely, they're just like throwing it in some shoebox under the bed or something. The spirit, she may lash out like, hey, you need to be treating this with respect. So those are kind of two of the most common ways. I think I always then get asked like, well, how come dolls seem to be super haunted? And a lot of the time with like an evil entity. And if you think about it, like, I mean, if I was a demon, I'd be like, yeah, let me attach to this doll, because everybody likes dolls, right? And it's such a like, sneaky way to be brought into somebody's house without, it's kind of like going in the back door. So it does seem like a lot of like trickster spirits and more malevolent ones do like to kind of attach to more like just everyday friendly object and like, look, I'm a little kid. Be nice to me. And then, all just these different ways to kind of lower your defenses.
Yeah. Is that like more of a, because if you're coming in as a toy or a doll or something that's easily played with, like you have more access to children, right? Like the innocence and the...
Yeah. And you're less likely to think it's creepy. Although a lot of people do think dolls are creepy, but...
dolls are creepy.
Oh, they are creepy. They're very creepy. Yeah. Where is she? That one back there, she's not even haunted, but she kind of creeps me out.
Yeah. The unhaunted ones are always the creepiest.
Most dolls are creepy. Like, I don't care. Haunted, not. I think they're all pretty kind of creepy.
I suppose it has some uncanny valley situation going on with it, too.
Yeah, I think
a little bit.
I don't know.
My mother is, first of all, when you said, and when I read one of the stories about like haunted jewelry, my mother is like a dragon with like the things that she loves, right? Like she piles them to her, like, and protects them. I feel so poorly for anybody who ends up with a piece of my mother's jewelry. She will come after them.
Right.
Like the wrath of 1,000 cobras.
Hopefully they treat it with respect to them.
It's going to have to be a lot of respect, too. She's also obsessed with those dolls. They're all over her house.
Oh, so she's going to kind of like sprinkle her energy everywhere then.
Yeah. I mean, she already does, so this will...
That's going to be one hell of an estate sale.
Yeah. She's coming for everybody out there. Just letting you all know. Good luck with my mother. So another thing that you mentioned in the book, which is interesting to me because it talks about, surprise, surprise, something else that I rarely know anything about is haunted mirrors, right? Like I've known that from various horror movies that I watched, but I've also heard, and this is the part that I don't really know anything about, scrying. Does one sort of lead into the other, or are they separate entities completely when it has to do with a haunting in a mirror?
Well, you can scry on any reflective surface. Like it doesn't have to be a mirror. Like the ancient Greeks used to scry in like a bowl of water. It can be a mirror. It can be, so you could probably scry in a piece of foil if you want. Like, I don't know, anything reflective, essentially. But mirrors do tend to be the most common, especially black mirrors. So you can scry on anything. It doesn't have to be haunted. And then there's just haunted mirrors that you can scry on a haunted mirror if you want to.
That seems tremendously risky. How does that work?
Which part? Just the scrying in general, or scrying?
All of it. Start with scrying, and then we'll go into the scrying on a haunted mirror.
Well, kind of like dolls, just mirrors are weird, and mirrors throughout history have been weird. Our reflections in general are just very weird to us. Just even sitting and like staring in just a normal everyday mirror, and like looking into your eyes is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. And it could be that uncanny valley type thing. It's because, you're seeing yourself reflected, and like it's kind of weird. For some people, it's when you're staring into your eyes, it kind of can bring up emotions and things that maybe you aren't paying attention to in your everyday life, and you're actually like literally being forced to look at different aspects of yourself energetically.
Yuck.
Yeah, it's like literally looking into like, the eyes are the windows to the soul kind of thing. So you're literally like looking into your own soul. Some people don't always like what they see reflected back,
I get it.
So, even if it's not haunted, even if you're not scrying, mirrors are weird. Just mirrors energetically as well throughout history have been known to be either energy amplifiers, like reflecting back the energy. So if there's chaos going around in a room with a mirror, the mirror could potentially like reflect that chaos and almost amplify it. Same with peace. Like there could be like happiness happening in the room, and it could potentially reflect that. And then of course there's always the theory that mirrors are a window to the other side, to a different dimension, to different energy frequencies, which is kind of freaky. So even if the mirror isn't traditionally haunted, like they're still weird as hell. And I personally will like put a little protection sigil on like all of my mirrors, just because I don't need anything coming through the mirror, and I don't want to be like pulled into the mirror energetically. So yeah. And then scrying, it's you kind of, we'll use the mirror as the scrying example. You would sit in front of the mirror. Some people prefer to angle the mirror so you're not seeing your reflection, and you're just kind of like maybe seeing like the ceiling or something like that. Other people do like to have their reflection. And do you remember those magic eye posters and books from back in the day?
Yes.
You're kind of doing the same thing. Is you're just kind of like gazing into the mirror, and you're just really relaxing your eyes. You're focusing on your breath. You're calming your breath. And it's pretty much kind of like a meditative trance-like state you put yourself into. And some people will literally start to see like images in the mirror, or like kind of smoke and things like that. And then some people, it'll help stimulate their clairvoyance. So by relaxing their eyes and kind of staring into the mirror, they'll start to see imagery within their mind. And it's a way to do kind of like divination. Yeah.
I think what's so fascinating to me is that we've always had this thing with mirrors, right? Mm-hmm. Like exactly like what you're like, scrying's been around forever, and peering into a reflective surface to have some sort of experience. You can trace it into placement of mirrors in feng shui. Like it all has to do with energy, and certainly, Alice through the looking glass, right? So it's been around for a long time. Whenever something's been around for that long, some sort of myth or lore around it, like I immediately go, all right.
Yeah. Why has it been around for that? Long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if we just go back to like remove anything sort of mystical about it, just the fact that by looking into our own eyes into the mirror and like really seeing aspects of ourselves, like that's weird enough to me. Like we don't even need to throw in the like portal to other realms. Like that's weird enough that you can like look into yourself. Like I don't know, it's all just really interesting.
Have you guys seen the videos of people looking into, I forget what they're called, but they're like real mirrors where instead of a mirror reflection, it's like what other people see, and they just like freak out. And like we do this every week, so we see the opposite, the unmirrored reflection. So it's not a big deal to me, but it blows people's mind because it's just that little bit amount of being different from what you're used to seeing in the mirror. They just freak out.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yeah. I want to look in one of those because I've heard it's different looking in that mirror because it's kind of like more real time, I guess, versus like on like your cell phone camera. But I don't know. I don't see how it would be that different, but I do want to try that sometime to see.
I get that it would be though, because you would be definitely focused on this. Like I notice every so often and I go, oh, that's weird. But most of the time you don't notice because I'm busy staring at another corner of the screen.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So it's
see, I'm always staring at me every single second of these
that,
streams. So.
that would be it. Yeah. Which would make me think that you'd have one of the mirrors already.
I mean, I didn't say I didn't have one.
Are there some stories that you can think of or instances where people have been pulled into a mirror or somehow sucked into a mirror, and then what happens at that point? Like, do they speak on their experience? Is it like going into a different world, a portal, or something along those lines? Or
I haven't personally spoken with anybody who's actually been brought into the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've read some like Reddit stories where I'm like, I don't know if that's actually true. Where, they got sucked into the mirror and it was like their world, but everything was mirrored or reflected. And I don't know, it was kind of goofy. But I mean, I think more realistically what it would be is almost, so one time I was scrying in a haunted mirror. And I ended the session really quickly because I started to feel this separation of myself. Which was really kind of weird. Like I was present and I was aware enough that I was feeling this, but there was just this big disconnect with my reflection and me. And normally when I'm scrying, if I do see myself in the reflection when I'm scrying, it can do, it's just also just science. Like our eyes try to make sense of things when our eyes are or unfocused. But even when like my reflection doesn't quite look like me, I'm still aware that like this is me. But I was starting to feel just this very weird disconnect. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ending the session now. Like I'm done. And so I can only imagine that that's kind of what it is more like when somebody gets sucked into the mirror, is almost this disconnect of yourself.
Right.
Almost like a dissociation type thing. And so like part of your energy or your consciousness gets stuck in the mirror or like separated somehow. But I didn't want to stick around and find out.
No, that could be a scary learning adventure. No,
I'm good. I don't need book content that much. So
no,
that's fair.
Yeah,
no, but that is a really good way to explain what that disconnect could feel like.
And I think that that's kind of more what it is like. And then, I mean, had I continued, maybe that separation would have happened even more, and like I would have walked away being different than I am now, essentially, because a part of myself was separated, disconnected from myself. It's creepy.
I have a couple questions about haunted mirrors that I'm going to let Jeni ask right after this break.
Hey, boys and ghouls, Neil here from Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. Join us on October 26th in Watseka, Illinois for the Seance at the Roth House, known for the story The Watseka Wonder, the first documented possession in America, or was it a spiritual miracle? In the end, you decide. We're going to be having ghost tours throughout the house every hour on the hour, from 1 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have vendors. We're going to have speakers. Mr. Dave Schrader himself of the Paranormal 60 podcast, as well as the Holzer Files, will be your MC for the day. Miss Diet Renee will also be out there doing the seance at 7:30 at night. And guess what, girls and boys? We are also going to be filming a documentary, so each and every one of you can be part of this unique experience. So go to gravesideparanormal.com to further details about our event, or on Facebook, and go to Eventbrite at The Seance at the Roth House. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and boom.
Okay, so why would one want to scry in a haunted mirror?
Shits and giggles. I don't know. No.
That's valid.
On the edge. I don't know. I mean, potentially you could connect with whatever energy or entity is connected to that mirror. It could be a way to maybe see yourself, like the mirror I'm talking about.
Confirmation.
She wanted to share her opinion on that. Anyway, the mirror I'm talking about is at Beale Manor here in Ohio, and it is haunted, and a lot of people have seen the reflection of a woman in the mirror. So by scrying in it, you could potentially see her reflection or be able to communicate with her more openly. So that could be a reason why you would want to scry in a haunted mirror.
Okay.
Yeah. Although people scry and haunted mirror, which I just recently co-hosted an event there, and a couple of us did try scrying in the mirror, and nobody made it past like 2 minutes. Everybody was like, nope, I'm done, over it.
Well, why? Because
it was yeah, they just were seeing weird things. Their faces were like really morphing. They just felt weird.
Oh.
And what was interesting is, so it was just me and 2 other people that tried it. And the first person who did it, she got up, and when she got up, we had a thermal camera pointed in that direction. Right before she was like, nope, I'm done, it got super cold right by her. And she was like, I'm done. And then she got up. And then the next person, right before she said she was done, it got super hot right by her. So that was really interesting. Like, okay, what's going on there?
Confirmation.
Confirmation.
So, okay. The haunted mirror. I'm so fascinated. Is it, I don't even know how to ask this question. A haunted mirror, people can have an experience with this mirror, but also scrying it would be a completely different thing, but also similar because you're having an experience. I don't even know how to ask this question. Holy cow. Like, that whole experience you just told us about is so wild to me that not only were they experiencing something, but it was messed up. Mm-hmm. No further questions.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think I'm good. I don't think I'm ever going to scry in that mirror again. I've tried it twice now, and it was weird, and I'm good.
Have you ever tried it in any other haunted mirrors?
Not knowingly haunted. Yeah, if it was haunted, I didn't know it was.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a different sort. It sounds like a stupid question, but different sorts of experiences based on like the different sort of attachment that might come to the associated. Like you could have a really nice. You could have a nice scrying experience where you just see someone baking cookies and.
Oh, that's
that'd be
nice.
Lovely. Yeah, that'd be good.
What was the most surprising haunted object that you've ever kind of stumbled across? The one that you were like, what is happening here? Why is it like a haunted timer? Or
that'd be cool. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything that is too like weird. It's all been just kind of like the normal jewelry, like a haunted
creepy
bed,
dolls.
Even I guess maybe a bed is kind of weird.
A bed? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's a little weird. I would say that.
Yeah, bed's weird. Okay. Yeah. It was actually an antique dealer that I talked to, and she got a whole bedroom set. And when she was sleeping in the bed, I can't, and I even wrote about it. It's in my book, but I can't remember the specific details, so I'm not going to like quote the story so I don't get anything wrong. But I do remember she slept, I think, only like 1 or 2 nights in the bed. And I know she did have a nightmare. And I feel like something else happened as well. And she was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of this. And her husband got rid of the bed like 2 days later. She didn't want to sleep in it anymore. Yeah. So, and then the other story is the penny story, which I guess a penny is weird. But that one, it wasn't even necessarily like the penny was haunted. It was just, so it is actually my friend Vanessa. And again, the story is in the book. And it was just these pennies just like materializing. So she used to have a fear of pennies, which she's like, that's ridiculous. But she just hated pennies. Like she didn't want to touch them. She didn't want them like near her. They just like grossed her out or something. Like she didn't like anything about pennies.
That's kind of funny.
I know. I'm like,
I know.
Pennies?
I know.
Like, but you know what? I guess, I don't know. Who am I to mock somebody's fears? After she went to a party, again, I'm terrible. Maybe I should have read my own book before I did this interview. I could have gotten all the details right. She was in high school. She went to a party. Her friends messed with her with a penny, and I think they were doing a Ouija board. This is a terrible story. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no. The story,
and there were people involved. And
fascinating.
That's the story. How about that?
Wow,
listen,
that's
it's
great.
a teaser. It's a teaser for the book. If you want to know the book, which is very well.
Anyway, ridiculously undetailed story made short. She went home and she was washing her face, and she felt something go down her back.
No.
A penny fell out from her shirt, and it wasn't like from the party or anything like that. Like it just basically materialized. And essentially that was the start of, she had a kind of like a negative encounter with a spirit, and that was kind of the start of it, was the spirit like literally dropping a penny down her back, like knowing that she doesn't like these, like, here you go. So
yeah, no, that's fully just like
penny like materialized out of nowhere.
I would run screaming from my home.
Yeah. Especially if I was afraid of pennies.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't want,
because I've heard of coins materializing, and each one means like each denomination means something different. I don't know if that's true. I don't know, but the fact that she was afraid of pennies, and then that, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah, in such a strangely like intimate gesture.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
Like I don't.
If it was
I don't
somebody's
like
finger, I would be like, no, that's disgusting. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not even like
listen.
it just like appeared next to her on the counter or something. Like it literally like dropped on her. Yeah.
Ugh.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank
Just
you.
like
Something that we've noticed, and I know that you addressed it a little bit in both of your books, is using tarot as a way to, I don't know if conduct investigations is the right word, or just as a tool in the toolbox. I know so little. There's, if you want to talk about like sharks or megalodon, like I'll do it. Bigfoot, cryptids, like let's get into it. Most of the haunting things and anything ghost related, I am very unfamiliar with. And it's just by sort of happenstance, right? And tarot, also any of the psychic or medium or divination instruments, I know what they are, but I have a wildly inaccurate grasp. I think tarot and I think, okay, you can kind of predict your day or kind of guide you in a direction or another, but to use them in an investigation, can you tell us about that a little bit? Or tell me,
yes.
Teach me.
Yeah.
Could you give us the basics of everything, please?
The
Thank you.
Right now. Thank you.
The basics of everything in life, and because I did
That's
my last
right.
story so well. Buckle down. No, tarot is amazing. It's fabulous. It's my favorite thing in the world. And tarot can be utilized for so much. Like it's so much more than just like, should I take this job or not? Or like asking questions or like what you were talking about. And one of my favorite ways is to use it for spirit communication, whether that's your spiritual team, like your spirit guides, your ancestors, or for ghosts. And you can also read, you can read everything. Like it doesn't have to just be a ghost. It can be the energy of the land. It can be pulling cards to learn the history of the building. It can be, you can read for anything. I get so excited now. I don't even know where to go with this because I love it.
Go everywhere. I want to know all of it.
I do need to reel it in because I am writing a book, Tarot for Ghosts and Spirits. I don't have a release date yet, but I am writing it. But yeah, one of my favorite things to do on an investigation is to utilize the tarot cards. And they're such a great tool for investigating the paranormal because tarot cards are kind of like a direct communication between your intuition, your subconscious, and a great way to communicate with different entities and energies because the cards use so much imagery. So you can be, even like, think if you're trying to communicate with somebody who doesn't speak the same language as you, you can point to a picture of a bathroom and they know like what a bathroom is. Like, you can point to a picture of a bus and they can like point you in the direction of where the bus is. And I feel like kind of the same way with tarot cards. The spirits may not be able to communicate so easily with us because it is almost like a language barrier, I think, sometimes when you are communicating with these different, whether it's even a human ghost because they're on some different energy wavelengths than we are and it's difficult to communicate, or maybe you are talking to a nature spirit or even an alien or Bigfoot or the ghost of a megalodon or something, whatever. They can maybe more easily communicate by using the imagery on the tarot cards. And so you can kind of have really great conversations that way. And you can convey so much with just one card, like so much more, I think, than you can necessarily with like one EVP or like some blips on a K2 meter or something like that. Like, because each card has so much meaning. And then if you even break it down to the different images on the card, like a red rose, like what does a rose symbolize for you? What does that symbolize for the spirit? What does the color red symbolize for you? So like, there's just so many layers to it. And it's just such a great way to tap into your intuition. Like sometimes even I'll just be shuffling and things will come to me intuitively just because I'm like kind of busying my conscious mind by shuffling the cards. So it gives my intuitive mind a chance to kind of come forward. Yeah, they're so versatile and amazing.
I like that so much because I know, Tressa, you've kind of, I don't know how recent it is, but you've been dabbling around a little bit with some of the cards and pulling cards, right?
I prefer oracle cards because I feel like there's a lot of rules to tarot and there's a lot of stuff I don't know about tarot. In oracle, to me, if it's just pictures, I can just interpret it the way that feels right to me.
You don't have to do tarot. You can. There are rules, but there also isn't. That's one thing I have found too with reading. It does definitely help to have an understanding of the card's traditional meanings. But I have found that communicating with spirits and reading the energy of like the land or the location, it has a lot more to do with just the imagery, like you were talking about, like the pictures on the card.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like for example, I was just on an investigation and they're putting it on their YouTube channel, so I don't know how much I can share of this experiment. But essentially, the spirits were talking about like a creek on the property, which I didn't even know that there was a creek on this property. And I pulled the Ace of Wands, which has a little creek on it. And that's what stood out to me on the card. And I was like, wait, I'm like, I think they're talking about, I'm like, is there a creek or like a river or something on this property? And somebody was like, yeah, over on this side of the property there is. And I was like, okay, there you go. So like the Ace of Wands doesn't traditionally have anything to do. Like when you look up the traditional meaning of the Ace of Wands, it doesn't mention anything about a creek or a river.
Right.
But that was on the card, and that's what my intuition was like zeroing in on. So yeah, give them a try. But also if oracle cards work for you, keep at it, use what works.
I think they're fun. I don't know if it's working for me, but I'm having fun with them.
That's all that matters.
I don't really know the difference. Like I understand a little bit conceptually about what tarot cards are, but what are oracle cards supposed to do?
It all kind of does the same thing. So tarot cards are 78 cards, and no matter what deck you get and what the art looks like and the pictures look like, and they may change kind of like some of the names a little bit, like instead of like pentacles as the suit of it, they may call them coins or something. But
like it's earth or something.
Yeah, pretty much it's 78 cards, no matter what deck, what art is on the cards, it's 78 cards, and they're all the same 78 cards, no matter which deck you pick up. Oracle cards, they can be any type of art, any type of card, any type of message. There could be a deck with 20 cards. There could be a deck with 50 cards. Like it's kind of no rhyme or reason. It's really just up to what the artist and the deck creator creates.
Felt like.
Okay. All right.
Listen, I've been seeing you using the tarot with the investigations, and I had no idea that you were, I thought you were communicating with the spirit or your guides or whoever. I didn't know you were actually communicating with the ghosts or entities or whatever, or land or building, or I didn't know that you could even do that.
Yep.
I find that fascinating. So again, I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to make that statement. Okay.
I mean, you got to kind of like set your intention, because some people will be like, I don't know what these cards were like. I pulled some cards and I don't know what it means. And I'm like, well, did you have, like, what were you pulling the cards for? And they're like, just pull the cards. And I'm like, well, you need to have, like, if anything, at least for your own clarification, like, I'm pulling cards now for the land. Like, I only want to read the energy of the land and then pull cards that way. Or, maybe that the ghost of Sally is at this place. Like, you're wanting to connect specifically to the energy of Sally, the story of Sally, whatever, and pull cards that way. So it is kind of important to have that, like, intention of like, why are you pulling these cards? What are you pulling the cards for?
Yeah, I can't imagine using any kind of card or divination without having an intention.
Yeah.
Like, are you expecting magic messages?
Or some people are just like, whatever you want to tell me, like, or whatever I need to hear right now. But then you may end up getting a message that's like for your mom or something, and you're like, wait, I feel like this is what is going on in my mom's life right now. Like, I think this is a message for her. So that's why it kind of, you need to like.
That's not why I'm here. I wasn't asking about my mom, you guys.
Yeah, you gotta have some intentions and clarity.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm really interested in, because you and I have talked a little bit about, as I said, about just kind of being in nature and that being a very centering place. And that's definitely a place where I can feel more things that would, I guess, edge on the paranormal, right? Like more energies, things like that. So when you say read the land, what are you talking about?
Yeah, let's hear about that right after this break.
Hey, Tressa.
Hey, Jeni.
Oh, I'm just reading my own book by international TV sensation Dave Schrader.
I'm reading the book too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah.
Say, I like your shirt.
Thank you. I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt too.
Oh, this? That's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com too. They have really great stuff. A whole variety.
I know, right? They have everything. Shirts, tote bags, clutches, a phone case. I think it's the best.
monstersloungepodcast.com.
Man, it's so good.
It's so good. All right, but we were talking about nature and what you mean when you say read the land.
I guess that's where you need to kind of have your clarity set or set your intention. Are you trying to figure out like what is the history of this land? Like what are maybe some things that have occurred on this land that are impacting it? Or are you trying to connect with the nature spirits of that land? So it's important to kind of differentiate, like, what are you pulling the cards for? Or are you trying to figure out, like, you were talking about, you can kind of feel different energies when you're out in nature. You go into different spots in nature and you're like, oh, this feels like super peaceful here. Or like, oh, this feels a little different than it did over there. You can pull a card for like, what is this energy? Or what, if I want to, how am I trying to word this? If I spend time in this spot, like what is this energy that I'll be connecting with? Or what can this spot in nature awaken within me? Or what can I tap into here in this spot? I don't know if that really made sense. And I can't remember the card that I pulled. I have it somewhere on my Instagram. I did this one day in the woods just to kind of show an example of doing this. Because I went up to a tree and it just felt different than the other trees. So I literally was like, what is this energy? Like, what do you have to teach people, or what can we learn from your energy? And pulled a card for that. And I, again, for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. Sorry, tree. But yeah, so you can read it that way, or you can, like I said, connect to the actual nature spirits. Like, do you have a message for us? How do you want us to be treating you? How do you want us to approach you?
I've just gotten very, very interested in tarot at this moment in time. I didn't know you could do all that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, now I love this. Oh, Tressa, these hikes are going to get so much worse for you because I'm going to be moving so slowly.
I pull cards all the time for things. And one time I was even pulling cards because, again, I was trying to get some content. And I was like, it was by a river. I'm like, what does the river need to teach me right now? Or like, what message does it have? Like, what do you guys have for me? And I'm shuffling and I dropped all the cards. And I was like, okay, like... They're basically telling me, like, put the frickin' cards down, put the phone down, like, just be here. And I was like, okay, I'll just be here. Thank you. Because I don't normally drop. I mean, I'll drop a couple cards here and there. I don't normally drop, like, all of my cards. I was like, okay.
Like, pay attention, lady. There's a reason you're here.
Basically.
I like that they just kind of spiritually book checked you.
Yeah. I love it.
And then shoved you in a nature locker.
Come on, nerd. Let's go.
Pay attention. What's happening right now? Yeah.
Oh, man, that makes me really happy. I'm going to want to try to do this, like, scuba diving, too, right?
Oh, my God.
Waterproof cards, like, this
we'll laminate them.
Feels totally, what is this shirt
We
trying
do
to
make
tell
waterproof cards, actually.
Oh. There it
What are
is.
you doing, Cherise?
Or maybe just pull some cards like before you go into the water. You could do
Nope.
that.
She's gonna need it in the water.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
You're all
though.
floating
I
away.
can imagine like shuffling cards underwater. They're just gonna be like bloop bloop bloop, billowing all around you.
I'm just imagining the look on because it's not like you're alone. Like you're with people who are very serious about, diving and like, hang on, guys, I gotta. It's all hand signals down there. So like,
oh man. She's not invited anymore.
I know.
Scuba certification revoked.
Well, they'll come take it. They'll be just officials at the door. I'm sorry, ma'am, but absolutely not. Yeah. You've made a mockery.
Why does this always happen to me?
Yeah. Oh, that's a very interesting thought, though, to do it close to the ocean or close to, when I'm actually going in the water. Mm-hmm. Like that would be phenomenal.
And if you want to even up it, run a spirit box while you're doing it. That's one of my favorite things to do is running the spirit box while I'm pulling cards, because then you get extra messages, or sometimes like the card you pull, a word will come through the spirit box that has to do with the card that you just pulled. And so it's kind of like double confirmation for what they're trying to tell you.
Now that sounds amazing. Spirit boxes are definitely something that I'm like, all right, I could recognize what it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't ever, at some point in time, we're going to have somebody to talk about EVPs on here and like those sorts of vocal responses, but I can never hear anything. It never makes any sense.
I have to put headphones on. Like if it's just running through like the out loud, people will be like, oh, it said, tacos and salsa. Did you hear that? And I'm like,
no,
I don't hear that. Every now and then I'll hear it. If it's like completely like super clear and loud and the stops for a second. But I usually have to have headphones on too, like to actually pick up any words at all ever, because otherwise I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Same with the DR60, that thing, it gets so many EVPs, but it's so, I can't ever, like, unless it's again like super clear and loud, I'm like, what did it say? What can you play with it? What did it say?
I love that. That's like my favorite machine.
Processing disorder or something, but I'm like, huh? What?
No, I have very severe auditory processing issues. If I'm not looking at your mouth while you talk, I can't always understand what you're saying.
Me too. Or I'll understand it, but it's like 5 sentences later. I'm like, oh, okay, that's
right. Yeah,
you said like 10 minutes ago. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Captions too. Others, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are they?
But that's why I love like the recordings of the EVPs. Those are my favorite because I can like sit back and like sit with it and re-listen. The spirit box I absolutely can't do. It's too much information that is nothing in between the information.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming for me. And I can't. But the recordings, have you ever tried to record anything, just like record a session and then listen back to it?
I have, and I'll have to think. I don't think I've gotten just like a regular classic EVP while doing tarot. I'm also impatient and I can't do the like 20-minute long recordings. Like I'm one of those, like when I do an EVP session, I ask like 5 questions and I'm like, okay, let's play it back.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot.
If I'm going to be doing any sort of like, ITC stuff with my cards, it's usually I'm listening to the headphones or occasionally, I mean, people poo on the apps, but it's literally called Ghost Hunting app, I think. And it's one of those like word generators. And I'm not putting all my stock into that. Like I know that there's probably some goofiness that goes on with it, or it may not be able to be trusted. However, I've tried it enough times pulling cards where I'm not saying anything out loud. So the app, if it's listening to me, it's not hearing what I'm asking. And I'll pull cards and words will come through that relate to the cards that I'm pulling or will relate to what I'm asking in my head. So that's kind of interesting.
That's very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, using it without being verbal and asking questions. So I'm actually going to try and...
Yeah. Which that's where it's interesting. It's like, okay, is that just my intuition? That's like, what is that? Like, am I sending out like weird, just little like telepathic signals? Like can
and even that
pick up on your telepathy? Like, Or
That's very cool if it's
right?
just that.
Or can
I'm
our
fine.
thoughts affect the app? Like I'm actually sending the, like, yeah, that's weird in itself. So,
Yeah, I'm very into either way.
right? Me too.
Please.
Yeah, either way, because even if it was your thoughts actually affecting the app, then it would have to be some sort of vibrational thing, right?
Right.
Because the sounds reaching you are only changing when the waves change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's pretty crazy to think about.
Oh, I like this. I like this a lot now because this is probably what I'm going to hear from Tressa for like the next week.
Yay!
What? Why?
No, it's going to
Because
be
I'm
great.
fascinating?
You're going to go do it, and then you're going to report back to
Yep.
me. This is how
Okay.
these things work. You go do some of these things and report back.
Okay, deal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Listen, we should probably wrap up.
Wah,
Cherise,
I know.
give us all your promos.
Yes,
Tell us what
please.
you're up to.
Cool. I'm currently writing tarot for ghosts and spirits. No idea on a release date yet, but that will be coming. You can follow my
Love
Instagram
it.
and TikTok, CheriseWilliams.xo, for updates. In the meantime, you can buy either of my books, The Witch's Guide to Haunted Objects or The Witch's Guide to Ghost Hunting, on Amazon. And then I did recently see, I don't know why only one of my books is on Barnes & Noble, but The Witch's Guide to Haunted Objects is on Barnes & Noble. The other one is not for some reason.
That's odd.
Yeah, very weird. I don't know. I'd have to ask my publisher about that one. And yeah, that's what I got going on right now.
That is fantastic. And I will say that on your social media, you do a lot. You're very active on Instagram and TikTok, and they're a delight to see.
Yay.
So,
I'm glad.
yeah.
Lots of examples of you doing tarot at investigations. So anything that you've talked about today, if the audience is interested, go and check the stuff out because it's there.
Yep.
So, Cherise, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Pleasure to
Wonderful.
be here.
Yeah.
Very much.
Everybody else, don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Paranormal 60 Network. I have not been drinking. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.
Good night.
Bye.